Okay, so Hale, you also came out as gay. So, what are the repercussions of an openly gay person and what atheist, should we say, at that time, or?
Yeah, pretty much an atheist.
Yeah.
Let me actually first explain how I actually kind of came out, and how I kind of dealt with.
Sure.
Because the first person I came out to wasn't anyone else; it was myself. So I mean, my whole life I'd been believing that, you know, being gay is not a thing. There's no such thing as gay people. Gay people don't exist. The people that do, you know, practice homosexuality are just possessed by the devil. They're messed up in their head. They're mentally ill. They're just perverted. But really, they're not gay as in they're not actually. That's not a part of their nature, right? I believe that, you know, in Islam everyone's got something called everyone's born with fitra. Everyone's got a fitra, which in Arabic means nature, your innate nature. And basically in Islam, or the Islam that I believed in, and the vast majority of Muslims do believe in now, is that the vast majority of Muslims believe this, that innately everyone's straight. You know, it's afterwards that you become perverted, and that innate nature gets changed, and you know, you become misguided, and then you might become gay.
Yeah.
So I believe that. So I didn't think gay people existed. Therefore, I didn't believe I was gay. Even though I knew I was attracted to like other guys, you know, some guys, since like the age of 8, probably before then as well, a little bit before then. So it was like, yeah. So this was a stage where I just kind of accepted evolution and my religion, and I'd just become fully de-radicalized. I'd kind of accepted progressive, liberal Islam. I was really liberal now. So once those things happened, basically, literally, I remember this. This was January last year, actually. That, you know, I decided, wait a minute. I've changed my views as it relates to evolution. I've accepted it. I've become liberal. I've changed my views as it relates to radical Islam, and I've accepted being a progressive and liberal Muslim. Now, there's one final thing that is the hardest thing for me to change. I thought to myself then, and it was the topic of my sexuality. And even now, just saying that, I literally just got goosebumps. Just thinking back at that, because that was so terrifying for me. You know, even considering the fact that I was gay, because it had been drilled into me so much since being a little child that what you do to gay people is that you throw them off a building and you stone them to death. That basically the people of any of the other people, you know, if you look at the people of the past, the people of the prophets of the past, Moses, Abraham, if you look at all of them, the people that got the worst punishment out of all of them were the people of Lot, were the people of Lut in Arabic, because they were gay. So
is this the Sodom and Gomorrah story?
Sodom and Gomorrah
from the Old Testament.
Yeah, exactly, from the Old Testament. That's probably where it comes from.
The Quran shares a lot of the Abrahamic.
Of course. That's probably where they actually kind of got it from as well, in the kind of the evolution of the Quran. So, you know, I thought, wait a minute, let's look at this. So then I went back to my old friend science. I decided to look at all of the research that had been done on the topic of human sexuality. I looked at the biology of it, the genetics. I looked at the psychiatry, the psychology, the sociology. I looked at the neurology of it. You know, I really looked at that in depth. And there were a lot of studies on it, and there was a lot of information from a lot of different kind of scientific fields. And I came to a few conclusions. One, being gay is a thing, right? A person can be gay, and that can be a part of their innate identity. Two, being gay is completely natural. And three, you can't change your sexuality no matter what you do.
And the science backs us up?
The science backed that up. Okay, not strictly speaking, because in some cases sexuality can be fluid, but when we're talking about people that are kind of, there's always going to be a core number of people that are kind of gay and just exclusively gay, in those cases, you can't change it. We've tried it. We've tried it again and again and again. Because at one point in the NHS, we used to treat gay people using proper medical treatments. You know, all the other kind of religious methods have been tried. Do any of them work? Absolutely not.
It was considered a mental illness until just recently, wasn't it?
Of course. It was considered a mental illness until, like, I think in 1960 or 70.
Yeah.
I think it was the World Health Organization that said,
yeah.
we don't accept it. And then the American Psychiatric Organization, Association, I think. I'm not sure. And then, yeah, it was accepted as a mental illness. And it's only recently, in the past few decades, that it was kind of, you know, wait, actually it's not a mental illness. So, you know, I realized those things. And once I realized those things, I thought, wait, okay, that kind of goes against the kind of Islam that I've been brought up with. So then I was kind of, I had to deal with this question. Either being gay is a test, and you're not allowed to be gay, but God made gay people, but he just said, you're just not allowed to be gay, right? You're not allowed to fall in love with someone, you're not allowed to have sex with anyone for the rest of your life. And then I thought, wait a minute. Imagine if we got 100 straight people and we said, you can never have sex in your life, you can never fall in love with someone, you can never get married to anyone. How many of them will actually never have sex in their life, or will never fall in love with someone, or will never get married? 2, 3, at most? So then, if there's such an unfair test that's being levied on a person, to the extent that it's actually inhumane, right? Because if you look at, you know, a lot of like LGBT Muslims, they end up killing themselves. I remember reading a fatwa on this, a legal verdict by a scholar saying, a lot of gay Muslims kill themselves and I really don't understand why. And I was like, you bloody idiot, because of people like you. So it causes so much mental distress, depression, anxiety. It destroys people's lives. People kill themselves over it. How can a peaceful, loving, merciful, just, all-knowing God levy that kind of test on a person?
Because the desire, not just for sex, but for love, is
That,
very strong.
I'll be honest
it's overwhelmingly strong.
I'll be honest with you. With me, I can stay without sex. That's not the hard thing. For me, the hard part is not falling in love with someone.
Yeah.
That's something I would never be able to kind of give up. That's something I would never be able to do. And that's the hardest part. People, like kind of religious people, always look at this and they say, oh yeah, the reason why you're gay is just because you want to have sex. Well, yeah, are you straight just because you want to have sex? If that is the case, then you have a very sad life. Sorry to tell you, but it's not about that. It's more about falling in love with someone. You know, that's an innate kind of need that basically everyone has. And if you kind of take that away from people, it destroys them. It destroys their mental health. It destroys their lives. So then I thought, wait, that seems a bit unjust to me. And surely God is just. Surely Allah is just. So then I decided to look at alternative interpretations of the story of Lot, Sodom and Gomorrah. And I started studying that in depth, and I realized actually these interpretations made quite a lot of sense to me from, you know, if you basically kind of use both the textual evidences, the Quran and the Sunnah. The Sunnah is the prophetic tradition. If you use that, but at the same time you use reason and logic, right, and you balance the two, then the only reasonable conclusion you can come to is that actually being gay is okay in Islam. If you believe in Islam, if you're a believing Muslim, which I was again at that stage. So that was the only kind of reasonable conclusion I could come to. And when I looked at the interpretations and the theology behind it, it was actually quite convincing. I've even told I actually even managed to convince another Salafi, Wahhabi, kind of Islamist Muslim, a very strong Salafi Wahhabi Muslim. And I basically told him about, the theological arguments for why homosexuality is okay and is not wrong, using the Quran, using the Sunnah, and he agreed with me. That's impossible. That's virtually impossible to convince a radical Islamist that being gay is okay in Islam. And I managed to do that, not because I'm amazing or anything. It's because of the theology that I studied, and that I've kind of put together, and I kind of formulated those kind of views. So it was, putting those together and kind of studying that. The reason why I bring that up is because I want to kind of bring the message. I want to like make it clear that actually you can have a very convincing interpretation of Islam that is accepting of LGBT rights and LGBT people, fully. I'm talking about like sexual relations. I'm talking about getting married with another man or a woman, with the same gender. Um, you know, um, Being transgender, all of that. You can have a very convincing interpretation.
But is that because of the fluidity of interpretation?
It's not entirely just because of the fluidity of interpretation. Interestingly, there are actually narrations, prophetic narrations, where there is a narration where there was a case. They used to refer to them as makhannath, right? That's an Arabic term. Is used to kind of describe gender kind of non-conforming people in terms of sexuality and gender, like basically LGBT. And basically one of these people used to be accepted into the household of the Prophet Muhammad and was fully accepted as like one of them. Now there is that one narration that actually does set a proper kind of precedent for that. I could kind of go through this Islamic theology stuff like in depth, and I think that would probably be like another kind of video in itself.
So.
But yeah, I think like for now, I think I'll leave it at that.
But the question is, I think now you came out, as it were, as a non-believer and gay, while still at home in an Islamist Muslim family. So what happened then?
Well, I mean, when I first kind of realized I was gay and I accepted myself as a gay Muslim, I slowly, I mean, after a few months after that, I kind of, got in contact online with a group of other progressive Muslims. It's called Muslims for Progressive Values. They've got associate status at the UN, I believe. It's an American Muslim organization. And they're very, like, they advocate for gay rights and, being gay is okay in Islam. And, they're very progressive and very liberal, just like my views were at the time. I befriended them, talked to them a lot, and I felt more comfortable. And then slowly I started coming out to all of my closest friends. I came out to 7 people in person, individually. Every single one of them was Muslim. And to my shock and surprise, every single one of them accepted me. Because these people were like the people that were the closest to me, the ones that I trusted, the ones that, I cared about a lot, and I knew they cared about a lot about me. Now, whilst they might not have necessarily accepted, that being gay is okay in Islam, they accepted me as a person, and they were still friends with me. They still liked me as a person. And I was very surprised at that, because I was pretty sure at the time before I kind of came out to them that at least some of them would kind of, turn away and just reject me. But that wasn't the case. So I came out to them, and then, when at this stage I was very progressive and stuff, and, because, I'd become really progressive and liberal. At this stage, I didn't believe that heaven, Jannah, was, limited to just Muslims. I believed it was open to everyone, atheists, agnostics, Christians, Jews, whatever. If you're a good person, you'll go to heaven. That was kind of the understanding of Islam I had at that time. So, for me now, actually, kind of going back and questioning religion wasn't scary at all. And I just naturally kind of, because I'd changed my views on evolution and on radical Islam and then on my sexuality, one day I just thought, what about the whole concept of religion? I started questioning the entire concept of religion and revelation. And that was actually really easy. And when I kind of looked into that, started reading a lot of stuff from Richard Dawkins, watching a lot of his like interviews and like debates. Read a lot from Christopher Hitchens, Sam Harris, and a few other kind of like big atheists. And I realized actually they made a lot of sense. That the whole concept of revealed religion was wasn't very reasonable. So at that time I then basically just left Islam, and that was not hard for me at all. The hardest thing for me was actually becoming de-radicalized. this, in comparison, was nothing. It didn't even feel very kind of... I mean, it was emotional, don't get me wrong. But in comparison, it was nothing at all.
So how much of a jihadist or radical would you say that you were up till then?
Up till, I mean, just before I became de-radicalized?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I was at one point considering carrying out attacks against this country. And I was actually, planning it. That's the extent to which I was extreme. I believed in everything. And I basically, preached everything. I was also, an imam at my local mosque. And, yeah, I believed in all of that. And I really believed in it. I really believed it was the truth. 100%. There was not... I mean, I really believed it. Even though it didn't fit right with me, I still believed in it, because I thought, oh, you know what, God knows best, Allah knows best. Even though I'm just a small human who doesn't know God's bigger plan, who doesn't understand, Allah knows everything. Who am I to kind of go against him and to kind of question him?
You did this complete 180, so how did your family take it?
I mean, so my family is... I didn't tell them... I mean, when I kind of accepted evolution, I told them a few weeks later. And they stopped talking to me for a week. And the only reason they started talking to me again is because then I lied and I said, actually, you know what, I don't believe in evolution anymore. I've changed my mind. And then they started talking to me again. And then basically we started having a lot of arguments and stuff, because now I'd become very progressive and liberal, and my mother would say a lot of very misogynistic things, my dad would say a lot of misogynistic things, a lot of racist things, a lot of kind of non-Muslim things, anti-kuffar things, very hateful, disgusting things. And I'm just the kind of person that if I see something like an injustice going on, I can't but speak out against it. So I would start having arguments with them. And these arguments got to such an extent that basically one day everything just kind of boiled over and I just snapped. And I just kind of blurted out, you know what, I don't even think God exists anymore. I'm not even sure if Islam is true. And when I said that, literally my parents straight away said, get out of the house. And basically I went upstairs, got my backpack, and I just basically found whatever I could find in my room, just kind of chucked in everything there, whatever I could fit. And I basically just kind of found a cheap hotel somewhere. Stayed there for the night, and then I realized actually this is a bit too expensive. So then I basically, I started ringing up homeless agencies, and they basically said, yeah, the council offices and places are shut and we really can't offer a place right now. The best thing is if you go to a friend's house or a family member's house. And I didn't really have anyone else to kind of go to, so I just basically went to my grandma's house. When I went to her house, I kind of fibbed a bit and I said, oh, they chucked me out of my house because I doubt Islam. At this stage I was pretty certain.
Even that's quite an admission.
Sorry?
Even that is quite an admission.
That is very quite an admission, but I just said, I'm just questioning it, I'm just doubting it. Right? And I didn't say that I outwardly kind of reject it. Then basically my grandma called my parents, and my mom started shouting to my grandma, and then basically I took the phone from my grandma and I got angry at my mom, why are you shouting at her for? Why are you shouting at my grandma for? And then she was like, oh yeah, why did you go to your grandma's house? Why are you doing that for? Why are you doing that for? And then she said, you know what, your dad wants to talk to you. She gave the phone to my dad, and my dad then said, you know what, there's been something that you've been hiding from us for a very long time, and we figured out what it is now. And as soon as he said that, a wave of terror just kind of spread across my body, because even though he didn't say what that thing was, I absolutely knew exactly what he was talking about. He was talking about my sexuality, that he knew I was gay. So, I went back home. At first I was terrified to go back home. They were like, you have to come back home. I said, okay. But I was too afraid, I was too scared. Because my parents basically believed that gay people should be killed. So I was terrified of going back home because I thought my parents might actually kill me, kidnap me, kill me, or I don't know, do something else with me. Literally, I believed that they really would do that, could do that. So then I rang them again and I said, you know what, I don't think I can come back home. I'm too afraid. They managed to convince me that, you can come back home. Nothing's gonna happen. We just want to talk. So I went back home. My dad took me out to the garden because he didn't want my brothers and sisters overhearing what he had to say. And he said, you're disgusting. You're evil. No son of mine is gonna be gay. You're no son of mine. You've got nothing to do with me. You're disgusting. And he started asking me. He asked me, how long have you known you were gay for? And I said, since the age of 8. And he was like, no, you're lying. That can't be true. So he didn't accept that. And then he said, do you have a boyfriend? I told him the truth and I said, no, I haven't. And then he asked me, have you ever done anything with a guy? I lied and said, no, I haven't.
You had.
Yeah. So at the end of it all, after him saying a lot of crazy stuff, most of which I've kind of, my mind works such that when there's a really kind of a negative thing that happens to me, that causes me to have a lot of negative emotions, my mind just blocks it out. So I don't really have a very good memory of exactly what he said, but I do remember some of the things he said. But then basically at the end he said this: the only way you're going to be able to stay in this house is if you agree to be exorcised.
An exorcism.
An exorcism. To get the gay demons out of you that are making you into an atheist and making you gay. So reluctantly I agreed because I had nowhere else to go. And yeah, so
they had to bring in someone from outside, I take it, to...
They took me to someone, they read the Quran over me and blew on me, and then they basically then my parents did it at home as well. They'd make me lie down, they put their hand on my forehead, recite the Quran, blow on water, make me drink it, holy water basically, make me bathe in holy water and stuff, right, all kinds of stuff.
Mr. felt so dehumanized.
See, the thing is, I completely agreed. The thing is, whilst rationally, I knew, as a matter of fact, without doubt, that I was gay, that this is the way I was, that was completely natural, and there's no way in hell that I was going to change. I knew that rationally. But because I'd just come out to myself, this is just within a few months of me realizing I'm gay. And I'd had such a kind of I'd been brought up to have so much hatred towards gay people that in that moment in time when I was going through all these exorcisms, I just kind of got swept up in it all, and just, not my rational mind, but my emotional mind just kind of took over, and then just said, wait a minute, what if you are possessed? And then I really started actually thinking, wait, maybe I am possessed. And then I felt so depressed. I've never felt that depressed in my life before. I felt so suicidal that basically at one point I tried to take my own life. And the way I tried to do that was that I was going to hang myself using in my bedroom with my wardrobe, in my wardrobe. And the only reason I didn't was because my dad walked in on me halfway, and he said, yeah, don't do that, you can't do that. And that was when, I just decided I can't stay in this house anymore, because I knew I wasn't going to change, and I knew they would never accept me for who I was, and that if I stayed in this house I'd probably end up dead, because I'd probably end up killing myself. So that's when I decided to kind of move out, and that was August last year, August 2014.
Year and a month.
Yeah, it's literally been 1 year and a month. So, after that, I met a group of other ex-Muslims. So at this stage, I was pretty much ex-Muslim. I wasn't Muslim anymore. and basically I met a bunch of other ex-Muslims that kind of, hung out with them, and they really helped me in terms of like emotional support. And then basically sometime after I had just started university, maybe October, November, I think it was November, I actually came out online on Facebook, both as gay and as ex-Muslim at the same time. And I knew it would get a reaction, right? Because I was such a well-known member of the Muslim community back from where I was. I used to be like an imam, and everyone knew me as like the religious guy, and they would kind of, I was the person that people would come to when they had doubts about religion. I would get rid of those doubts. I'd basically convince them to stay Muslim, and so I was that kind of guy. And so I knew it would have a reaction. It would kind of get a reaction, but the extent of that reaction kind of blew me away. It absolutely blew me away, because people I didn't know and had never met and would never meet were talking about me. They were kind of like, my status was like shared like everywhere, to the extent that actually an Islamic scholar in East London actually found out about my story because two of his students were talking about me.
Oh.
And then he contacted me on Facebook and tried to, convince me to kind of like come back to Islam. And I actually answered all of his questions, and he didn't know what to say. And after I kind of answered his questions and stuff, he got really angry, and he posted a status saying like, this pufta was criticizing blah 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 Muhammad for marrying a 9-year-old, and look at him, he's gay and he's criticizing them for that, blah blah blah. So he like really like kind of vitriolic, like, so it was basically like, that's the kind of reaction it got. And basically I was very involved in the Islamic society in my university. I knew like all of the members of the Islamic society and all of the religious guys, and literally when I came out, all of them stopped talking to me, all of them. To the extent that I would actually say hi, no reaction. Then I'd say hi, then they'd look at me, and then they'd look away. Or like, I'd be like, hey, what's up, man? They literally walks right past me and ignores me. And then after that, I just kind of stopped saying hi to them, because I thought, what's the point of me saying hi if they're just gonna all ignore me? That feels terrible. It does not feel good, because I've known these people for so long. They were like such a big part of my life. They were literally my friends. And then suddenly they just all stopped talking to me. So, it was like I pretty much lost all of the friends that I did have. And I basically made like a new kind of friendship circle. But, the friendship circle that I kind of have now, it's made up of people that love me for who I am and respect me for who I truly am. Not for someone that they think I am. Not for someone, the person that I'm pretending to be. Yeah. It's interesting though, when I kind of came out, there were so many negative comments, like homophobic jokes, like all kinds of like crazy stuff that people messaging me with, kind of commenting on my coming out status with. But it's very interesting though, whilst virtually no other kind of Muslim kind of liked that status or like said anything positive about it, a lot of like my old Muslim friends from school privately messaged me and said, hey man, we really respect you, I really respect you, you're so awesome, and you're really cool, and I really respect you for that, you're amazing. And this is the status that come out as both gay and as ex-Muslim at the same time. And that kind of took me aback. I was not expecting as many messages like that as I got. And the thing is, none of them were prepared to say that publicly. A few of them even said, we don't want to say this publicly because we're going to get lynched. They're all going to say that, oh, why are you supporting the gay guy for? Are you gay? That's the kind of like,
Yeah.
And because in that community, right, in the Muslim community, being referred to as gay is so terrible, so disgusting that, even though, it's something that you just don't want to be called, right? So they were afraid of that, but they wouldn't say that publicly. And I got a lot of those messages, and I was really taken aback by them, because I was not expecting messages like that. And I got a good few of them. Whilst, although, like, if I was, being honest about it all, the majority of the kind of response from the majority of like my Muslim friends was negative, entirely negative. But the positive response was actually, I was not expecting it to be that big. That actually took me by surprise. And yeah, that's pretty much how it was like, kind of coming out as ex-Muslim.
Wow.
And as gay. Like I even got like death threats. I got violent threats from like people that were really close to me. One of like, you know,
Really?
yeah, one of you know, one of the one of my like really close friends that I'd known for so long. We used to live right next to each other, and I would always go around his house, and he'd always come around my house, and you know, he basically violently threatened me. So yeah, it was tough, but it's the best thing that I've done.